My name is Gina. I'm 32. Family dinner. White plates. Cold light. My mother leans forward. Napkin folded like a weapon. Your sister needs your house, she says. My father adds, it's for the family. The word family lands heavier than the silverware. A white envelope slides across the table. The edge catches the reflection of the chandelier. Typed lines. My address. Eviction notice. No mistakes, just arrogance printed in 12-point font. My sister sits beside them, her nails perfect, her eyes wet. She glances around the table as if waiting for applause. The waiter freezes mid-step, tray trembling slightly. He's the witness none of us invited. The envelope rests near my plate. The soup cools. Untouched. I keep my hands still, my breath even. Across from me, their confidence gleams like glass. I lift my gaze once. The light hits my eyes. Sharp and clean. No reaction. Just silence filling the air. Somewhere inside that stillness, something moves. The waiter clears his throat softly. My father straightens his tie. My mother says, don't make this harder than it is. I reach for my glass instead of the paper. The wine doesn't shake. My lawyer was already waiting. The air stops moving. My hand stays above the glass. The hum of the chandelier feels louder than breathing. My mother's voice softens. Rehearsed. You've always had so much. Don't be selfish now. Her words arrive like dust slow, gray, settling where warmth should be. My sister hides a smile in her sleeve. No one speaks for a moment. The waiter slips away, pretending to refill water. Only the ticking clock acknowledges the silence. I stare at the envelope. The paper has begun to curl at the corners. I let them believe the quiet is surrender. It's easier that way. Control hides best in stillness. My pulse is steady. My face, unreadable. Father pushes the envelope closer. You'll do the right thing, he says. Certain. I tilt my head. The light glancing off my glass. Behind the stillness, thought sharpens precise, deliberate. Their words keep spilling. Property, obligation, family duty. I count each one silently, as if measuring distance. Inside that distance, I find space to breathe again. No one notices when I fold the napkin neatly. No one sees the small reflection in the wine's surface. It's the shape of something turning. I look at my mother, her polished certainty cracking around the eyes. The room is cold, and I prefer it that way. I say one thing, quiet but clean. They just don't know me yet. Then I rise, leaving the envelope where it lies. The waiter glances toward me, half question, half respect. I give no signal. I don't need one. The clock shifts 1 minute forward. But before I tell you how I got here, you need to know where it began. It didn't start at that dinner. It never starts at the table, you see. It starts in a hallway where voices travel farther than truth. I learned the seating first. Mother at the head. Father to her right. Hannah, beside the light. I took the chair with the wobble. They called it habit, then called it helpful when I stayed quiet long enough to clear plates while they discussed what I owed. And how gratitude wore a face that looked like mine when I nodded. Report cards lay near the salt. Hannah's name floated, bright, on their tongues. Mine, stacked under napkins. I refilled water. I watched the beads climb the glass. They praised her for potential, then asked me to drive her the next morning because reliability, they said, is a family's real engine when dreams run hot and stall. Birthdays sounded the same. 2 candles for her triumphs, 1 for mine. Mother said it balanced the photos. The frames always faced the door. When guests arrived, they saw her first, and the picture of me was the one with motion blur, as if I never stood still long enough to be counted. At the table, Father cleared his throat. Let your sister speak, he said. My fork paused an inch above porcelain. Micro shock. The room didn't blink. Hannah laughed and told a story that happened to me. I swallowed air and passed the bread. Chores were weighed like coins. Hannah's were creative. Mine were necessary. Necessary meant the dishes. Necessary meant the lists taped to the fridge. By dinner, the lists became rules. And the rules became the weather. And weather doesn't apologize when it chooses a side of the house to wear down. Graduation came. Her photo took the mantle. Mine leaned on the piano. Slightly tilted. Mother straightened it when company came. She turned it back when they left. I learned my throat could hold still. My hand wrapped the edge of the chair until the wobble stopped. As if balance could be trained by grip alone. They loved the sound of her plans. I learned the sound of timelines. Gas tank levels. Due dates. I carried envelopes from the hall table to Father's desk. Some had red stamps. Mother said I was good with details. And someone in a family should be. Because details keep doors from locking when you need to step through fast. Every dinner pulled the same thread. Hannah spoke first. Mother echoed. Father nodded. I measured the silence between their words. I set plates with the faint blue ring. The ring caught the light like a rule you could see but never move. And I came to trust the pattern more than any promise. The first betrayal wasn't loud. It arrived folded, like the corner of a check. College forms. My name typed, under guardian consent. Mother signed for Hannah's tuition while I was still paying for gas. Father called it timing. He said, "You'll get your turn." But turns require a circle. And ours was a straight line that never came back. I nodded. My hand found the same chair edge. The wobble was gone. Later that year, I earned a bonus. Hannah bought a car the same week. Mother smiled. You've always been generous. The plates gleamed under fluorescent light. My throat tightened once, then settled. She thanked me for helping family progress. No one asked if I had planned it. Hannah's wedding sealed the pattern. Her veil brushed my shoulder as I stood behind her. My seat card said kitchen help. The caterer thought I worked there. When he asked where to place the wine, I pointed without speaking. He thanked me by name on his way out. That night I watched her dance under rented light. My glass stayed full. My hand didn't move. The band stopped between songs. Applause filled the air like static. Mother whispered near my ear. Someday you'll understand sacrifice. I breathed in slow. Let the sound pass through. Silence became a skill. Each year polished it smoother. I answered requests with nods. They mistook them for agreement. The habit turned language into absence. Absence into comfort. Eventually they stopped waiting for words. They trusted the quiet. It kept dinners calm and guilt contained. It turned me invisible, efficient, reliable. They forgot silence can listen, record, and wait. I learned to place my breath between sentences, to end arguments by leaving the room, to fold each humiliation small enough to fit a drawer. They got comfortable with my silence. They thought it meant obedience. They still meet at the same table. The wood shines under the same white light. The chairs sound the same when they scrape the floor. Mother calls it family time. Father checks his watch before dessert. Hannah scrolls her phone, waiting for her cue. I sit where I always sit. The wobble repaired years ago. They still test the quiet. Say something. Gina, Mother says, you never have opinions. Her voice spreads like smoke, thick and shapeless. I answer with the smallest nod. It invites more. It always does. Dinner slides into the familiar rhythm. Stories about Hannah's promotion, her new car, her friend's wedding. Each word arranged like silverware. Precise. Expected. Shallow. Then the public line. Mother leans back, fork still in her hand. She's not like you. Hannah, she says. Loud enough for the waiter clearing plates. Gina doesn't need much. She's practical. The word hangs between us. Trimmed of meaning. The waiter nods. Neutral face. Careful hands. A plate slips. Just once. The sound cracks through the air. Small and absolute. I fold my napkin. Slow. They keep talking. I watch mouths move. The air moves with them. Father says, "You could help your sister. She's thinking of buying a house." I look at him. Steady. He avoids my eyes. Picks at the crust of the bread. They said it before. They say it again. They say it once more. Same table. Same words. Same silence filling the rest. The pattern fits so tightly it doesn't need to be forced anymore. After dinner, Mother brings envelopes, receipts, thin papers, numbers circled, just until she settles in, she says. Her manicure clicks against the table as she slides them across. Father nods. Hannah smiles like it's already agreed. I look at the papers. Mortgage pre-approval. My name written neatly in blue ink. They used my signature template, copied from an old tax form I left in their drawer. The detail is perfect. The crime almost beautiful. My throat doesn't move. I hear the hum of the chandelier again. It's louder now. It fills the room like static before a storm. Hannah laughs. You don't mind. Right. You've always been good with money. Her earrings catch the light. Her confidence reflects in polished silver. I trace a circle in the condensation on my glass. It fades as fast as it forms. The room becomes a witness. Lydia sits across from me, her fork still midair. She works with me now. She didn't know this part of my life until tonight. Mother notices her silence. Oh, don't look so shocked, she says, smiling. Gina's always been the sensible one. The words sound polite, shaped for strangers. They land like stones on glass. Lydia lowers her eyes. The waiter clears his throat and moves the plates. The sound is small, final. Hannah leans in, lowering her voice just enough. You'll understand when you have kids, she says. The laugh that follows is too practiced. She looks at Lydia when she says it again. You'll understand when you have kids. The same tone, the same precision, the same dismissal. Something invisible moves between us, thin but sharp. It cuts the last thread of civility. Father slides his card across the table. Half a joke. Put this on her tab. He tells the waiter. Lydia's eyes find mine. 8, questioning. I don't move. The boundary breaks quietly. Mother opens her purse and pulls out my spare key. I found this in the drawer, she says. She places it beside my plate like dessert. You won't need it much longer. The sound of metal on porcelain stops every voice. Even Hannah blinks. I look at the key. It catches the chandelier light. Gold and clinical. The silence stretches. They don't see the shift. They think it's still compliance. They mistake calm for permission. Lydia exhales softly. The only sound in the room. The air feels measured, deliberate, almost still. I watch their faces blur in the reflection of the wine. Then I stop. I stop following their words. I stop giving shape to the noise. I stop waiting for fairness to arrive. The table gleams, untouched. A precis. The key stays where it fell. I stopped listening. The next morning looked the same. Coffee machine hum. Curtains half open. Light cutting across the table in thin gold stripes. I moved through it quietly, touching nothing unnecessary. The dishes from last night were already gone. Mother had texted about family breakfast. I didn't reply. Routine stayed intact. Almost deliberate. The house was still. My reflection crossed the hallway mirror straight back. Steady steps. Same hallway. Different weight. The silence around me had changed shape. It wasn't an absence anymore. It was a surface. I poured coffee. Filled halfway. The spoon clicked once against porcelain. Clean and contained. A strand of hair brushed my cheek. I left it there. No rush. No movement beyond what the moment required. Emails blinked across my screen. Numbers. Schedules. Payments. All exact. Every file closed in sequence. No noise. No hesitation. Outside. A car door shut. Then silence again. Something in me went quiet for good. Later. At work. I answered every question on time. I smiled when expected. My voice stayed level. Colleagues passed my desk. No one looked long enough to see anything different. The difference was internal. Precise. Invisible. At lunch, the same sandwich. Same table. Same folder. The hum of the air vent overhead marked seconds like a metronome. My breath followed it even. Mechanical. Detached. The surface calm returned. But this time, it belonged to me. Back home. The chair from dinner still sat near the table. Its legs left faint impressions on the rug. The shape of habit. I turned it once. Facing the window. The motion felt exact. Nothing wasted. I stood there until the streetlight came on. Then I closed the blinds. Evening settled like dust. The lights inside turned low. Edges softened. I moved through each room, checking locks, aligning frames, adjusting what never stayed even. The sound of the refrigerator hum filled the gaps where conversation used to live. On the counter, the envelope from dinner. I smoothed it once. Flat palm. No tremor. Paper under skin. The texture of control reclaimed. No rip. No tear. Just one measured breath before I slid it into a folder already waiting. I wrote nothing down. No note. No line to mark the shift. The movement itself was the mark. My hands knew what to keep, what to discard. Each motion cleaner than thought. The phone buzzed. Mother's name glowed for a second, then dimmed. I turned it face down. Silence layered itself again. Thicker. Certain. The air felt light but organized. At the table, a single lamp burned low. Its light traced the edge of my arm. Pale gold. Deliberate. I whispered one word into the empty room. Enough. The sound didn't echo. It stayed contained. Like heat under glass. I placed the key she'd left beside the envelope. Metal and paper, same color in this light. Same weight of proof. The hallway clock ticked once. Then again. I watched the second hand travel. Slow. Even. Each movement precise. Accountable. The waiting was over, though no one else knew it yet. I turned off the lamp. The house shifted into shadow. Not dark, just stripped of decoration. Somewhere outside, a car passed. The sound faded cleanly. I stood still until everything matched the rhythm of my breath. Then I said nothing more. Foreshadow lived in the silence itself. They still thought I was quiet because I had no power. They would learn the difference. White light spills across the same restaurant table. Glass gleams like ice. Chairs creak as they settle. Eyes already rehearsed for triumph. I arrive without hurry. Coat folded over my arm. The room holds its breath as I slide into the end seat, and a low hush moves through the cutlery like wind moving across wire. No one speaks first. Mother straightens the napkin triangle. Father drums a finger once. Hannah checks the reflection in her spoon. Then the door. Then me. While the chandelier hum deepens until it sounds like fluorescent weather. Silence stays seated. The manager stands a polite distance away. The waiter hovers by the water carafe. Lydia takes the chair to my left. Her notebook closed. Her face a calm wall that lets the scene project onto it without ripple. I keep my hands on the table. Mother clears her throat lightly. We can do this quickly. She smiles for the room, as if she owns the air. And the word quickly lands like a stamp intended to end whatever began without her consent. Forks pause midair. Father pushes an empty plate toward me. Hannah produces a key for effect. It glints, and then stops glinting, as it meets the linen. The sound a soft metal tap that starts 3 heads turning at once. I don't touch it. I set a flat envelope beside the key. The paper answers, with a dry whisper. Under the white light it looks almost surgical, and the seal snaps crisply when I open it. the sound cutting through the room with the confidence of something already decided elsewhere. Breaths hitch. Two short stacks slide into view. Pages align to the table's grain. Names, dates, transfers, and a cover page that carries more weight than the centerpiece, which wilts slightly as if it just remembered. Water can be withheld. I turn one page. Mother leans to read and stops. Father watches my fingers. Hannah's smile holds until it doesn't, as the columns reveal themselves like a slow elevator door, choosing not to open for the floor she wanted. The waiter steps back. I place one copy near Mother's plate. I place one before Father's watch. A final single sheet rests in front of Hannah, and the thin rustle makes the manager look over. The kind of sound people hear when a crowd realizes the spotlight moved without warning. Chairs do not move. No commentary follows the paper. No throat word follows the key. I align the edges until the corners square perfectly, and my thumb leaves a small half moon on the margin that vanishes when the light shifts. The room recalculates. Mother reaches, then withdraws. Father draws in air through his teeth. Hannah taps her nail once, hears it come back empty, and lowers her hand as if weight has changed its mind about being generous tonight. Eyes lift to me. I look at the manager once. He looks at the documents. The chandelier makes a faint electrical tick, and the white tablecloth turns brighter as if the room itself has chosen sides by increasing its wattage. No one laughs. I close the envelope flap. I slide it aside. When I place the final single card date stamped, witnessed, clean the paper. Kiss against linen is soft enough to make the nearest table stop talking. Heads angle. Mother's mouth opens, then forgets the next shape. Father's shoulders flatten into the chair. Hannah studies her reflection in the spoon again and finds only ceiling light, which offers nothing but proof that light arrives whether invited or not. Silence deepens. Mother finally speaks. What is this supposed to prove? Her voice cracks the surface but doesn't reach the depth. Father's hand freezes halfway to his glass. The ring on his finger catches the light, white and cold. I tap the first page. The letters reflect upward. Dates, transfers, bank statements, deeds, every transaction stacked in their handwriting. The silence becomes structured. Each sheet a boundary rebuilt in plain sight. The house wasn't theirs anymore. The sentence lands flat, without echo. I don't need to raise it higher. The sound is carried by the rustle of paper and the small breath Hannah forgets to hide. She flips through the pages, eyes chasing numbers she already knows are real. Her nail catches on a signature that matches mine. It stops there. A perfect still frame. Lydia's pen scratches once verification, not commentary. Mother watches the ink set. The waiter sets down water, careful not to break the silence. The glass clicks. Someone at the next table lowers their fork. Every noise rearranges around the truth until the only rhythm left is their uneven breathing. I sit back. The chair creaks softly. Control doesn't need posture. It needs stillness. Father clears his throat, rehearses disbelief, and fails halfway through the word misunderstanding. No one joins him. Light widens across the tablecloth. It outlines the documents, their edges glowing against the silver utensils. In that reflection, power looks weightless. I let it stay that way. Mother reaches for the papers again. I slide them away, slow enough to make her stop before touching. Her hand hovers, then retreats like memory, recognizing consequence. The chandelier hum sharpens. Hannah whispers, "You planned this?" Her tone is flat, not accusing, just new to comprehension. I say nothing. The truth doesn't need a defense. It already occupies the space between us. Chairs shift. Lydia closes her folder, stands, and nods once toward the staff waiting near the doorway. They approach, gather the signed copies, and leave the originals behind. No words exchanged. Mother's lips move. Soundless. Father looks at his hands. The key lies where it began, small and irrelevant. No one picks it up. Their faces lose shape under the light. I rise. The chair slides back with a soft scrape. The sound feels final. Every head at the nearby tables turns. Drawn by the absence of noise more than any spectacle, I smooth the front of my coat. The envelope fits beneath my arm like it belongs there. Lydia opens the door. The brightness outside spills in, white against black marble. I don't look back. Behind me, the chandelier stops humming. No one speaks after that. The room held. No one moved. White light sat on the table while air thinned around glass and silver, and the chandelier gave one small tick like cooling metal. I let it stand. Chairs stayed squared, eyes fixed on paper. I looked at the envelope under my arm as the doorway framed a slice of hallway, and dust turned slowly in the light, like pale ash. Silence stayed near. Mother stared down. Father looked away. Hannah traced a circle on linen until the thread caught her nail, and the circle broke into two faint lines of nothing. No one spoke. The manager waited. The waiter stepped back. Footsteps from another table faded down the carpet runner, and the napkin corners breathed once, as the vent gave a low, even sigh. The scene thinned. I stood. The chair eased back. The legs made a soft scrape that drew the nearest glance, and the sound settled flat, like a page closing without hands. I didn't hurry. I set the chair. I looked once at the key. It lay still where they placed it, and the light on the teeth dimmed as a cloud moved past the window like a slow lid. Nothing needed moving. I walked to the door. Lydia opened it. Cooler air touched the edge of my sleeve as the hall's white bulbs met the dining room's silver, and two worlds pressed without mixing. I stepped through. The staff shifted. A fork clicked far behind. The room kept its picture as the doorway narrowed, and the carpet changed texture under my weight, from plush to smooth, like water meeting stone. I kept walking. The elevator waited. Numbers glowed steady. I pressed the button and watched the panel reflect a thin, vertical body, and the doors answered with a soft slide that cut the last of the murmurs. The space cleared. Lydia stayed quiet. We stood without talk. The cable hummed like a low line in a winter sky, and the floor count fell in clean, measured steps that left no trace. We faced forward. The lobby opened. Glass took the day. Outside, traffic moved like ink under light, and the revolving door turned once. Then again, keeping the weather in a slow, precise circle. I held the envelope. I crossed the marble. I reached the street. Shoes tapped in a steady pair as a bus brake sighed, and a gust carried the restaurant's faint smell until it thinned. I left it behind. Outside, the air waited. I stood under the awning, feeling the faint pulse of traffic. The clouds above the buildings opened just enough to let one slow beam of pale light reach the pavement and rest there. It looked deliberate. Lydia stepped beside me. She didn't speak. Our coats brushed once when a passing breeze folded the corner of the envelope against my hand, and I steadied it with one finger. The paper was cool. A cab turned the corner. The sound of rubber over rain left a low trace behind. I crossed the curb and stopped at the edge of the line, watching reflections tremble in a shallow puddle, steady again when I moved away. The world resumed. Somewhere, a door closed. Somewhere, glass clinked. The city carried its normal weight, and my breath found the same rhythm, even and unclaimed. Time returned without effort. I walked toward the next block. Shops dimmed their windows. A woman inside a bakery stacked plates. A man turned a sign to closed, and their motions moved like clockwork under the last thin light of the hour. Quiet belonged here. At the corner, the wind shifted. It lifted the edge of my hair, nothing more. A child's laugh cut through the distance, and the sound balanced the hush, clean and complete for a moment, before fading. I breathed once. When I reached the next street, I stopped. The glass door of an office caught my reflection, framed in gold trim. I didn't look away, only watched the still figure that no longer matched the one they expected to control. That image stayed. A gust carried the scent of dust and cold metal. It moved through the narrow street and vanished. I turned slightly, enough to catch the light from a passing bus, and it filled the space around me like a final punctuation mark. Everything held. I opened the envelope. Empty air slipped out. No words left to speak. No noise left to answer. Peace doesn't need witnesses. The light thinned across the pavement and stayed. Wind passed through the doorway once, then forgot the way back. Silence held its breath and never gave it up again.